victims from January 1, and we compare the gun violence to the gun violence on the whole, we today would stand at 74 murders overall by gun violence as compared to the 96. Regardless, we want to address some of these cases specifically with you, and I will have another chief come forward to do that. Overall, our homicide unit is doing amazing work because their clearance rate, and by that what we mean by a clearance rate is that someone has probably been arrested in the event itself, and we average right now 75% clearance. A clearance can come through other situations, but primarily these are through arrest. That means for every 4 perpetrators, 3 have been held accountable. Of course, these goes into the court systems, and we want our criminal justice system, our judges, to hold these people in custody. We want high bails. We want people who are violent to remain in custody until they can work through the entire criminal justice system. Starting last week, we on Fridays have begun a new initiative, and I need our community to be partners with this, but this is what it is. Every Friday, Director Harper, who is in charge of our public information team, will be doing a what we call the front burner. And with that, we're going to be posting every week some of our top violent offenders that we are looking for. And we need you to help us be our partner in getting these people into custody. I want to go ahead and turn the podium over to Chief Gernon, who's going to specifically speak about some of the cases. And Chief Gernon is the chief over the investigative bureau. So with that, Chief, feel free to come forward and address whatever cases you'd like.
Thank you, Chief. So, I'd like to kind of walk through some of our more recent cases, but I'm going to start with just talking about the case that happened last night. So just give me a second here. Last night, shortly after 5 o'clock, we received a call of shots fired in the 34, 35, 3600 block of the Bienville. When our officers got there, they found casings in some cars that had been shot there, but then they also located a victim of a murder that was suffering from gunshot wounds in the back parking lot of a church/nursery at 3401 Canal Street. Our detectives and First District detectives immediately started to canvass the area, started to work that murder, and we learned pretty quickly that the victim was the victim of a carjacking. We were able to track his car using our internal automatic license plate readers, and we found that car on the side of the interstate right past the 17th Street Canal near the Bonneville exit. Within the vehicle was one Mr. Raymond Wells. He had been shot once in the head. Mr. Wells is currently in extremely grave condition at University Hospital, and overnight our detectives were able to secure an arrest warrant for Mr. Wells for 1 count of first-degree murder. It was a truly horrible scene and a horrible crime. Our best estimates, or our best investigative efforts, determined that the victim, who's we're going to let the coroner's office identify once all of his family have been notified, was simply in the parking lot picking up his kid from nursery when Mr. Wells tried to carjack him and subsequently killed him. So there is a warrant on file. We have an officer on guard detail at the hospital, and should Mr. Wells recover from his wounds, he'll be booked with first-degree murder, but at this point he is in extremely grave condition. Following that, we've had a series of murders in the last week or so that have certainly caused a lot of talk and concern about what's going on, basically, and we kind of wanted to give everybody an update on some of those murders. As you all know, yesterday we talked about the arrests that we made in the 200 block of Bourbon Street, that murder that occurred that killed Miss Williams from Chicago. A few hours prior to that, there was a shooting in the 300 block of Loyola Avenue. Our detectives have some extremely strong leads on that, and we expect to be able to bring some level of closure to that investigation soon. Prior to that, we had the 3200 block of Dumaine murder, which has been reported extensively on, where that individual was actually located by detectives who were canvassing the area and made that arrest of Mr. Garcia. Additionally, over the weekend, we had a murder in Holly Grove area. That murder we have some good strong leads on, but we still need the public's help in helping us identify who that suspect might be. We know that there's individuals in that neighborhood that likely know him, and we've canvassed that neighborhood, so we would urge individuals that live in that neighborhood to let us know what's going on with that. We also have some extremely strong leads in the 1500 block of North Claiborne Avenue murder, and we expect to be bringing some closure to that as well. And then finally, going back to last Thursday, we had 2 individuals shot and killed in the 9600 block of Old Gentilly. I know that was originally reported as 2 persons shot and killed. That has subsequently determined that was a murder-suicide. 2 individuals that had been friends for years had an argument outside of a junkyard, for lack of a better term, and that argument turned fatal, and then the shooter turned the gun on himself. So we want the public to know that we are finding these individuals, we're holding them accountable. If you're going to engage in this type of violence in New Orleans, we will find you, we will hold you accountable. But I would also like the public to know that there are other options here. There are other resources out there. If you, loved ones, friends, families, neighbors are suffering from mental health issues or a mental health crisis, we have our mobile crisis intervention team that works with the New Orleans Police Department through the health department. Every single police station has a social worker in it. So if you need help, if your kids need help, if you need somebody to help you figure out how to connect to mental health resources, please, I beg you, walk into our stations, ask to talk to the social workers, and ask them to help you get the people that you love in your life, connected to whatever those issues might be. I'm not saying that all of these murders were mental health related, but I'm saying that there were some opportunities here that I think that people should know that there are resources out there, and we would really urge individuals to seek out the help that they may need for themselves and their loved ones.
I also want to add to the fact that family and friends, if you know someone is illegally carrying or they have access to a weapon and you think that there's a risk factor there, we can also help facilitate taking a weapon into protective, not the right word, protective custody, but we can take a weapon and hold it temporarily for you. We can work with you, y'all. There are so many options at hand. And although we are very good at catching people after the fact, we are way more interested in the prevention rather than just the catching. And so that's where we got to have your help with us as well. So at this time, we will open it up for questions, and whoever would like to weigh in.
So we're going to start over with Whitney.
In the car that was found on Mr. Wells, was that a self-inflicted gunshot wound, or was that?
Yeah, sure, please do.
So that is a Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office investigation. They are still conducting their investigation. It would be premature for us to speculate on what the results of that investigation may be.
But just at this time found with a gunshot wound?
He was found with a gunshot wound to his head on the side of the interstate. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Missy?
Can you comment more on the circumstances regarding the homicide in 3400 block of Canal Street? Like, the casings were spread out across the area. What do you think happened exactly?
Yeah. So our best estimation is that the shooter in that case was up to something in that block on Bienville Street. Might have been breaking into cars, might have been looking for something like that. Some individuals saw him, and for some reason he opened fire on them. These are individuals that are cooperating with us. They were not involved. And then he fled from Bienville to the back side of the church at 3401 Canal, where he encountered our victim, carjacked him, and killed him.
Channel 6? Anything? 26? Anything? Gabby?
I do. A couple things. One is, I think at one point there was concern that there might have been a shootout of some sort in the Bienville area. Can you explain that in connection to what you just said, Chief Curran?
So we're still working through some of that, whether there was an exchange of fire or whether it was all coming from Mr. Wells. We're waiting for ballistics to come back. And so at that point, it would just be speculative as to whether, whether it was a shootout or whether it was all originating from Mr. Wells.
Okay, and then a more general question I have is that I've heard some concern around overtime potentially being cut within the department and how that might be challenging homicide investigators with this uptick. Can you speak to that?
Sure. As you know, we're really careful about spending money, especially what we found is overtime being one of the greatest factors that we're using. However, we have not frozen overtime and we have not eliminated overtime. What we did is give each district and each bureau an allotment, which is really reasonable. But what we're also doing is if another bureau or our district needs extra overtime, we can pull from those various resources and provide it to them. So that is something that Chief Lebrano is very careful and watching, and he is coordinating with my office, and we make sure that the appropriate people have the overtime they need, especially in homicides like this. So that's not going to stop those services.
Right. You know, it costs money for public safety, and under no conditions will money stand in the way of public safety. And if we have to spend the overtime, we're going to spend it. But we are trying to be good stewards by looking at overtime issues associated maybe, let's say, more with like training. Do we have to use overtime, let's say, for training? No, we can make some adjustments, and that's what we're talking about. But if it is needed, it is not going to be denied. Public safety is the paramount issue and will always be the driver and my true north. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all for coming out, we appreciate it.
We do have a press release coming out about the Canal Street homicide. It'll go to y'all and all that, okay?
Well, this week alone, this week is out there. Okay, that's why I didn't know later. Okay, but I wanted to ask about Mr. Wells, was he the passenger or driver seat?
I know, but it's not my investigation. I'm just reluctant to give out details. Like the investigation. I'm gonna let them finish up their investigation before we kind of draw conclusions based on what I've seen.
You do know that Dave gets to assign us to y'all.
It's-
I just wanna make sure I'm.
But it's there. That part of it.
That part of it is there.
No, I know it's not y'all. I know, and I'm not, and it's not like a critique, it's just like, it's just one of those moments, you know, where